This is Maddy Agers. It's Agers, right?
It's Agers, yeah.
And we kind of met on TikTok the other day. I noticed that, well, noticed you came up on my FYP because right after New Year's Eve, I made a video being like, I saw the news on X, I saw the pictures of Tom and Alex, and right away my body said no. Because to me, that's a young girl and like an older man. And I think that Tom Brady is very troubled. Like, you'll often see me like rocking a Patriots sweatshirt, but I kind of just do it for the bit at this point. Like, I'm like, I should make a little bit of a cartoon character out of myself on TikTok. But I like, I was in college, I think, when the Patriots won their first Super Bowl. And after that, like, I was out here in LA and I've never been that big of a sports fan, but like every time I learn a little bit about Tom Brady, like whether it be scared of strawberries or kissing his dad on the lips or like even just finding out that he was kind of low key a fatty when he like got drafted as a QB. Like every time I learn a little something about him, I'm like, I don't know about this guy. Not that the low key a fatty part, but I just like, I'm like, this is someone who is very determined and has worked very hard in a way that I think could be borderline psychotic to be around. And it makes sense if you're married to a supermodel because they also have an insanely limited and regimented life. But I don't know if I like him with Alix Earle. And then I thought about it for 3 more seconds and I was like, no, I maybe do like it for Alix Earle. I think I do kind of like it. But
Mhm.
you were like deep in the weeds on some stuff, parsing out some stuff. So I want to know from you, just like, first of all, thank you for being here and thank you
Thanks for
for
having me.
all of the amazing research you've done. You've done like, I think like 5 or 6 videos about this so far, just going a little bit deeper each time, peeling back the layers on how these two freaks know each other, what, their status could be. How do we feel about Braxton, who I guess she just broke up with like 2 or 3 weeks ago,
Technically.
another football player. So, do you want to just like, first of all, introduce yourself, but like tell me about Alix Earle from your perspective? Because being in my 40s, I literally have always wondered, I'm like, what is it like to be like Alix Earle's age in the time of Alix Earle being the biggest thing on the planet? Like, what is it like to experience that? So,
Yeah. Living in this day and age is crazy, like, even thinking about it today. Because my name's Maddie, I'm a budding TikToker, I guess. I'm a little bit of a freak because I grew up on the internet, so I know how to find things quickly because I've had, like, 10 years of experience just fucking around on the internet, you know what I mean? So and then
I
it's like
know.
yeah, and it's just crazy too because, like, even with TikTok, like, I grew up in the age of I started writing for a journalistic website 11 years ago, and at that time, SEO algorithms and WordPress and all that stuff was super popular, and now it's like TikTok's algorithm alone is just interesting to me because it's so much more advanced than anything that we used to have even 10 years ago, so I can't even imagine what it's like when you're older than that and you've seen the internet come up, you know what I mean? All like, meeting at 2 different touch points like this is kinda cool because you have more of a perspective on Tom Brady than I do. I have more of a perspective on Alex. I think she's so interesting because she shares so much online, right? Like, there
Yeah.
are pictures of her literally sprawled naked on beds, drunk. Like, Alex is an interesting case study to me
Like,
because
wait, like, when you say sprawled naked, do you mean like nudes or do you mean like,
no, like, somebody snapped a photo of her passed out in front of all of her friends, like, drunk. Like, I found that this weekend, and like, back in the day, they would tell you that that's a career ruiner right there, you know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? But she is getting brand deals, and no one talks about that, and I don't know if that's because she has a dadager, and which is interesting too about her because she doesn't have a momager, she has a dadager.
Yeah.
She seems to have a very good business sense because she went to school for business in Miami. And she
Yeah.
was she was a party girl, like, she was just doing get ready with me vlogs, and really, like, she talks about one day she gained, I don't know how many it was, like 1,000,000 followers, and that was because when TikTok was new, you could blow up so quickly, but she's retained it, now she's at 7 or 8,000,000, and people look at her kinda like I feel like she uses the same sort of thing that stars like Ariana Grande might use. I don't know if I'd use her as a great example right now, I'm not loving her, but, like, Taylor Swift has kind of made these super strategic moves, but she also capitalizes on the fact that people think she's just a dumb girl. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I love that about her, but she takes it to a different level because she shares so much of her life, and she has a loyal following. Like, I don't know of many other people wanna watch just do their day-to-day get ready with me, like Alex, but something about her just really piques my age group's interest.
Well, okay, really quick to go back to like, you're right. Like I have watched the internet. Like I was from like 12 on just online. Like this has always been computer is my passion and like that's it. Like my boyfriend and I were talking the other day and he's like, what is like your thing? And I was like, I want to die in bed with my computer. Like I think that I would be really happy if it was just me and my computer till the very end. But like, the naked element is so interesting because, like, okay, I would say, like, the first celebrity sex tape I remember in my lifetime was Tom and Pammy. Pammy and Tommy. And that video was disastrous for particularly her. And like it's interesting because we've come full circle now where like we've seen the documentary that her son made and Tommy Lee always gets a little bit of a pass because he's a rock star and he had a huge dick, but like that was just so defiling for her and such a violation. And even though she was always known as a sex pot, like there was a coveredness to her. Like Playboy was very like even Playboy's not like getting bent over the side of a boat and getting railed, right?
Mhm.
But like ultimately one thing about that video that like I think like Lord got in trouble for saying this, but I will say is like it was just a couple that was like over the moon for one another and like very in love and passionate and like the shame that she had to carry from that is so unfair. But then like, I moved to LA in like 2005 was my internship that I had out here and it was right across the street from Kitson on Robertson at New Line Cinema.
Mhm.
And Paris Hilton had just had her sex tape come out and like she was already sort of like she wasn't carrying the narrative of a porn star, although I think it was very easy to like humiliate her. And then, of course, there was like Kim K. And
Mhm.
Kim, I feel like people only bring up either of their sex tapes now when it's like to humble them in the face of like some new monstrous success they've had. So I think we've been in a place where people can kind of move past some sort of damaging video like that for quite a while. And I think obviously the fappening changed a lot of people's minds about whether or not it's okay to consume nude images of someone like a celebrity. And it's completely illegal, by the way, for like those pictures to be out there, which like we saw with the DoorDash girl situation recently, where it was like, I believe you were sexually harassed. However, you cannot post a guy's fucking undercarriage uncensored to the internet. Like you can't.
Yeah.
And I was sad to see that she got arrested, but she would not be the first victim of an assault like that to be arrested for, I don't know, seeking justice, basically. But yeah, I was thinking about this because when we were DMing, you mentioned how Alex like shows so much of her life. And I spent some time going through her page today. And like I told you, I think one thing that influencers do is they really sell you on the idea that you're seeing their life, but like you're just seeing bits and pieces. But with Alex, like I do not feel like I am seeing her life. Like, and so it's so interesting to me that your perception is that like she puts it all out there when like I know that she adopted that dog. I know that she broke up with Braxton. I know that she has like kind of like the type of family that should have a reality show. I remember her disgusting college apartment, which she got a lot of shit for, but I think that a lot of people just were not living. Like, I'm like, "Okay, so you had a lame college experience is what you're telling me." Same thing with, like, when people were talking about, like, the Idaho 4 and the way that their place was, I'm like, "Eat it," and, like, "How did Dylan not know?" or whatever. I'm like, "Guys, like, I don't know if you, like, actually had a lit college experience or not, but, like, typically, like, you don't worry too much about a guy that's leaving your place. You worry
Right,
about someone,
right.
like, coming in, right?" So, yeah, I think it's so interesting that you feel like she puts it all out there.
I don't think that she puts it all out there, okay? I should be clear because I went to school for advertising and PR and marketing, so when I see her, it's like, I can see your shtick here, like, I think she's so smart because people feel like they know her, like, I was watching an interview she did with Forbes back in September of 23 today just to refresh myself on 'cause she met, Braxton in February or so of 23 when he was dating another girl, and then she kinda got blamed for being a homewrecker. He was dating Olivia Culpo's sister, Sophia, and
Really?
they met at a party, and I saw her talk about how they met, like, I've probably done 20 hours of research since Friday on this. It's crazy. She
Wait,
met
can I
him.
just tell you
Yeah,
really quick? My friend Meredith, I don't know if you know Meredith Lynch from TikTok, but she and I are friends IRL, and she just put in the chat that Alex's stepmom's friends were bullying her once.
Alex's stepmom friends were bullying Alex.
Were bullying Meredith because Meredith is her, like, brand of content is not like it's not like call out culture, but she
Mhm.
is, like, very looped in politically, very looped in with private equity, and, like, she has a very, like, keen and she's keen insight on things from whether it be years ago or currently, kind of tying it all together. She focuses a lot on private equity and stuff like that. So I'm sure that she had a lot to say about Alex's family and the way that they do things, like, their politics aren't great. It's a little interesting. Yeah. She says it's when Alex said the N-word. That was fascinating, by the way. When
Yeah,
Alex's tweets with the N-word came out and she started trademarking them, that was next level.
and that's the kinda thing I'm talking about, though, like, so I feel like going through college, I had a really awesome female professor, and she was like, "If you ever take nudes, never put your face in them." You know, all these different things, like, go back and look at your old tweets, make sure that you're careful before you have an online presence, all these things that Alix Earle, like, did not do. And now no one talks about that because she's inundated so much content into the internet that it's like parceling through to even find those stories is hard. And I wonder if that's part of the strategy of having a dadager because he's a male and also because like, his advice might be, let's just and her knowledge of how all this stuff how hard it can be to find scandals, like I said, in 10 minutes, I was able to find a picture of her drunk sprawled out on a bed, and it's like, no one talks about that because there's so much content that she's putting out that it's off people's mind, and there's not a lot of people that put out that much, like, content, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking about how, like, she's obviously surpassed this level, but, like, Brooke Schofield, like,
Yeah.
her racist tweets had come out probably like a year or two prior to her being, like, more officially canceled for them. And you do always wonder, I think Alex has surpassed this sort of level, but sometimes, like, you tick off the wrong person and something that was a blip kind of on the radar for someone originally, like, will come back very strong and, like, the most fierce it's ever been. So, I do wonder how long she might be able to outrun something like that. But, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you about
No.
Braxton and, the Culpos.
Yeah, so Braxton was dating Sophia Culpo when, him and Alex met at a party, and Alex talks about this party, and I was kinda trying to figure this out because what started this initial I saw the post and I said, "I think she was just entertaining him, rubbing his back, showing him a good time, and then she went back to her place, he went back to his." Like, I think they were just having fun at this party. Well, then someone DM'd me and said, "I found this old interview that she did in 2024 with Jake Shane." and she talks about dating an older man in college. I wonder if it was Tom. So that's kind of what prompted my deep dive into this because it was like something didn't sit right about Alix Earle and Tom Brady. Something about it was just wacky. And then I went back and it was like, okay, was this the person she talked about? And I could see her like what was fascinating about the interview was that she mouthed 3 syllables worth of words.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kinda what kickstarted me just putting a TikTok and I didn't expect it to do much. I just was like, maybe she did. And then as we dug into it, I realized that I really think it was Dave Portnoy, and I was trying to establish, was she established at all with the NFL prior to Braxton? And I don't believe that she was. She was dating college athletes, but nobody in the football sphere, NFL-wise. Like, she talked frequently about liking sports players, and I think she maybe had an interest. I don't know if her dad is big into sports or something, but
Probably, yeah,
probably.
and I think, like, if you go to University of Miami, like, you are signing up for that lifestyle a little bit, so,
Yeah.
like,
It was
there's
probably in
that.
her sphere, but, you know, she talks about getting invited to this party, going with her friends, really not expecting anything to come of it. Then she shows up at this big I think it was like a big mansion house party, and they took her phone away, and she said she'd never been to a party where they took her phone away before. And so she's like, "I go in and somebody approached her and said, 'My friend's interested in you,' or something like that," and she was like, "I'm not here for that. I'm here with my girlfriends." And then she got drunk and said that she got some liquid courage and walked up to Braxton and said, like, "I heard that you wanna, like, hook up with me or something." Like, she was just flirting with him and then left and didn't expect anything of it, and he texted her and said, "You're gonna just leave without saying bye?" And she wasn't really aware, I don't think, at the time that he was an NFL player till after she left that party because she didn't have her phone, but she said that they talked for a couple hours, whatever. And then things got messy.
Respectfully, what else would he be?
No, like, I mean, he looks like an NFL player. Like, you think somebody's just jacked like that for no reason? Like, okay. So, but she does lean into this relatability aspect, and you do wonder, like, how much of it is honest, how much of this is just strategy, and she had time, obviously, between then and the whole Colpo drama to kinda craft a narrative, so who knows how truthful that is. But do I think that she was looking for someone in the NFL? And, like, yes, I do. She talks about Coachella 2023, a sports player who was tall was hitting on her. His friend approached her to say that, and she looked at his outfit and said, "I'm not interested," and then he turned around and she regretted not going after him. So I wonder if that was Travis Kelce because he was confirmed to be there, that Coachella.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
and,
That is really
yeah,
interesting.
and she said publicly while dating Braxton that is her that's her NFL crush. So, was she shopping for an NFL guy? I think so, you know?
Yeah, I could see that because, like, I also think that she might wanna be with someone who's sort of in the world of entertainment. I can't see her settling down at this point in her life with someone who isn't, like, public facing in some way. Like, when you're that age, I don't know how you feel about it, but, like, when I was that age living in LA, like, dating someone who wasn't adjacent to the industry was just, like, a non thing for me. Like, it wouldn't
Yeah.
even have occurred to me at that age to, like, date a lawyer or something. But yeah, okay, so this is interesting because, like, we're gonna talk about sort of the ethics maybe of her moving on from Braxton in this way. And it's interesting when you, like, sort of mention it that way that, like, she was at the maybe an overlap or at the tail end of his relationship with someone else, like, I kind of feel like that lowers the standards of, like, I don't know, like, any sort of, like, worry or care about what, like,
And
Braxton think that they were going to the moon. No, like, he knows that, like, he got into this relationship in a compromised situation. She was willing to go there with him. And so yeah, that is really interesting. And then the Sophia Culpo, is she the one who was dating like Bethany Frankel's ex-boyfriend for a while
I don't know.
after? I
Don't
think, yeah, it was one of those. Did Olivia have like a big fancy wedding?
Yes.
Okay. I think that, yeah, Meredith says yes, that Sophia. So that's interesting to go from Braxton to like this guy, Paul, that Bethany Frankel was dating, who is like, I think a guy from Massachusetts, but like is like very, very well off. Like if not a billionaire, like close to one.
And I think that's another part of this conversation that people miss because I think so and that's something that made this all really curious to me is just it seems like this whole entire age group was trying to kind of social climb through their dating. And there's nothing really wrong with that. Like if the opportunity presented itself in one way, it's like I could see, but it's like somewhere along the line this Braxton narrative was manufactured that he's just a total sweetheart and he's just head over heels in love with Alix. And I think there's an element of truth to that, maybe, but I also think maybe this was a perception that was kind of crafted. I've watched some live streams that they did, and in one, I remember seeing her say something cutting about, like, your ex texted you today. And he looked at her like, why would you bring that up right now? Like, it just seemed like it was totally a boundary that was violated. And I was just like, ooh, I don't
And no
know.
one's gonna depict their boyfriend to be like on her level and like in his profession. I think because athletes have such a notorious like reputation for cheating and for like flying girls out and like being really messy with their cheating. And of course, there's like the CTE of it all and all of this shit. Like, there's a lot of a lot of personality problems and legal problems that can come up with someone like an athlete. And so I think that like definitely she wanted to portray him that way, but who knows what he's like. I mean,
Yeah.
even Alex's life is like a little like animal status in some ways. Like
Yeah.
she's just constantly on the move. I don't know how she I don't know how she does it. Her energy is like endless.
And that's the, like, appearance. I mean, and you kind of can yeah, and I think one thing too that I thought was so interesting, and I really feel morally, ethically like, I actually was sick to my stomach before I posted one of the parts that I posted on TikTok because I got information that she was standing in Braxton's bathroom last week when she posted a couple of TikToks before she went to St. Bart's. She was clearly staying at his place, then flew to Miami, and it wasn't about the fact that she was in his house. It's the fact that she was in his house and she says in the video something that makes you think that she's gonna go back to his house, but she's not there. That's kind of this like, it's none of our fucking business, you know what I mean? But, like, the fact that we know that she was standing there, it was just it's like a reminder, we don't really know what the fuck's going on, truly, we don't know, and no, we're not owed that information, but it is a reminder, like, there is a whole image crafting going on behind the scenes. She had never filmed in that bathroom before that I can tell. I think the fact that
I
his
thought it looked like it just had like a little glass door shower type of thing.
yeah, with a window in the back, and I
Yeah,
think it's nasty to me that you can Google Braxton Berrios's address and that it comes up.
I hate it.
I
Like
hate
that was
that.
my number one thing about home ownership that I hated was like the amount of people that I think are like psychotic. Like now I'm just like, I am not giving my address to even like my friends. I sometimes have mail sent to my boyfriend's place because when I realized how many people were like, oh, as soon as someone gives me their address, I look it up on Zillow. And I'm like, I don't want you to do that. Like,
Yeah.
how about this? Like, no. How
How about
about
yeah.
you don't get access to my world like that? But I will say that, I think when I was your age, I would have thought that I'm like, there's something nefarious going on here or whatever. And now that I'm older, I understand that, like, yeah, like, you can break up with someone and it can be cool and you can like stay in their house. All of her shit's there. Like she needs to get it out of there. And like, I don't think that that's part of it where she's like maybe keeping some of the logistics of that stuff to herself. Like, you mentioned that she probably dated Dave Portnoy. Gross. But I know
Gross.
that when he and his ex-girlfriend broke up, like she stayed at his place for a while and I think he even put her up somewhere after. The financials are totally different, of course, but like hearing that she's staying in his house, like sometimes guys might like something like that for like control. Like he knows that maybe he still has a little piece of her because some of her shit's still at his place and like she's crashing there while was he in Houston?
Yeah, and yeah, John Mayer even has a line talking about that in this song called "Still Feel Like Your Man" about Katy Perry. Like, I still see your shampoo in my shower. Like, I know that there's a male thing that's like not letting go, and I mean, they just announced their breakup December 13th. It probably realistically happened a couple months before that. I think that they kept it quiet because of the Dancing with the Stars of it all.
You think?
I do, because he came out there. He didn't come out for any of the performances because of his schedule, but he did come out there, I think, in October, and everyone's theorizing that they broke up and had a strategy meeting with her family. Like, this is the game plan, and then kept it hush until after Dancing with the Stars was over. So I don't know.
Well, I saw that she had thrown, like, a birthday party for him. This was something that, like, came up in my FYP or, I have, like, some of my TikTok girlfriends that I met through a true crime case that we, like, sort of all just decided to stick together. Some of them are in the chat right now. Um, I you know, I I wonder if it's that thing where, like, they are maybe so cool that she did that for him despite them being broken up, or I kind of wonder it's not as uncommon as it should be to, like, do something really nice for someone and then dump their ass,
Yeah.
or, like, break up with someone on the first day of vacation. Like, I remember the first time I knew someone that did that happened to personally. I was like, "That is, like, unforgivable, like, this chick's a sick fuck for, like, flying you out there and then doing this," and then, like, as I've gotten older, I just realized that, like, some people feel like that's the way to do things, and, yeah. Yeah, that's,
It's interesting.
dark a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah, I think, like, I never feel fully ready to be a total bitch after a breakup until I've got all my stuff out of this person's house. So part of me wonders, did she get all of her stuff out of the house and then, go hang out with Tom Brady? I don't know. I don't even like her and Braxton seem so chill though. I don't know if that's just the perception, but they seem really mature. Like, I think that they both feel like this was a win-win for us both. I think she got him into a bunch of rooms with NFL people and she talked about that. Like, so she was part of this Fanatics, women transforming sports media panel in August of 2024, and I was listening to see because they asked her how she got involved in sports, and she directly attributes it to Braxton. Like, she says, "Until I dated my boyfriend, I wasn't really in the know." And so I think she feels like she gained a bunch of connections from that. He also is huge into investing for his age. He's 30. I think he's got a huge portfolio, and she probably learned a lot about investing. She probably knew a lot because her dad has such a big company, and I'm sure she grew up around investing. She's definitely financially comfortable, but it was interesting too to, like, compare what she said there versus the Forbes interview, because in the Forbes interview she talks in 20 this was September of 23, so around the time that her and Braxton started to be official. She talks about down the line the Alix Earle brand. They ask her, like, what do you want to do? And she says, I want to develop my own product and sell my own things. So she was already thinking ahead that she wants to have her own company. Here comes this guy who's in the NFL space, he's got a lot of investments, a lot of connections. I think she was saying at the time she was focusing on acne and really building that into her likability brand of just like being really real. That's what she said her brand was like, being really real, showing imperfections. And I think maybe she saw an opportunity, like maybe this should lead into something like energy drinks or something that's more in the sports sphere now that I'm kind of running around these circles instead.
Yeah, really quick, I just wanna mention some stuff that's coming up in the chat. So, I will say hope, I'm not trying to be like, I'm not nagging you or something, but it's hard to know sometimes what exactly you're referring to if you don't say, like, "Regarding blah, 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 why is that a big deal?" That's just more helpful for us to be able to answer your questions directly. Michelle said she's moving to California, but she had moved into his house when she went to Texas, and then Hope said they know each other, so if she's there, so what? And Michelle also mentions that around the same time that you're talking about the business growth and all of that, she had broken up with Alex Cooper. And I wanna talk about the Alex Cooper of it all a little bit, if that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. She was just starting that partnership with Alex in September of 23. That was part of the Forbes interview that I watched today. So that was just starting, and she says she was really excited about that opportunity. She was one of the first influencers to be signed on to the Unwell Network.
Yeah, I think she was the first, because I
Mhm.
remember when that happened, and I think Alex Cooper is so, like, kind of dirty in business as well, like, I'm still so disturbed that she like, yes, like, she was right that the IP that she got from Call Her Daddy should all belong to, like, so Unwell technically does belong to her, but with that being Sophia's bit and her taking it all the way to the top, I just think is like I would have too much pride for that. Like,
No,
I don't
yeah.
even like, for me personally, like, I would be like, "Oh, like, we'll keep that in the mix." Like, maybe just name the drink Unwell or something, but, like, the whole brand being Unwell makes me, like, so uncomfortable in terms of how dirty that is, and I just think that, like, when she wound up leaving Unwell, it was really kind of more simple and just that, like, she wasn't getting a lot of growth. I don't think that that was, like, a huge deal for it was more like Alix Earle was lending her celebrity to Unwell at that
Mhm.
point, and I don't think that, like, Alex was getting a lot of growth from that. Like, she already was so big when she was signed. That type of partnership never really made much sense to me. However, like, certain people, like, I guess I would say, like, that guy Owen or maybe, like, Grace O'Malley, like, that is someone who can really be helped by the Unwell platform, you know?
Yeah,
But anyway,
yeah. And
yeah,
Alex Cooper got engaged in an Unwell sweatshirt, which I would have never, ever, ever wanted for myself.
that's so, like, on brand for her, though. Like,
Yeah.
she's I will say as, like, a big comf head, like, I just love being comfy. I will say that I do love that was she wearing pajamas when she interviewed Kamala Harris?
I don't remember,
I
but she
feel
talks a
like
lot
she might
about
have
that.
been.
She talks a lot about that, just being comfortable. I get it, but I was thinking, like, why would you choose Yeah, she was definitely in a hoodie in this interview. I don't know, like, the unwell of it all, though. Why would you wanna be in an Unwell sweatshirt when your boyfriend proposes, and then you have those pictures forever, and it's always in the back of your mind somehow has to be attributed to Sophia Franklin?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's like, it's branding, and I think that that means a lot to her, and I will say one thing about Alex and her husband. I do have some inside tea, but this was from before I think that they were even engaged, but he treats her like she's Oprah. Like, I knew someone who it was like a regional thing and she was in a studio doing like a regional interview, and I know someone from that region, and when like this is a person who has a well-worn path of being in his industry and is like at the top of it in that region and is very beloved and professional and just been at it forever. And like when he came into the studio, because he was bringing one of his clients in there to do something very similar to what Alex was doing, Matt was like, "Excuse me, like no one can come near her. No one can come near her." And he's like, "I'm not here for her." Like he's like, "I'm here to do my work." Like, and so I think that like in a way, it is just an extension of her branding. She knew that this, like, sleut or whatever she calls herself, settling down and like getting married was going to be a big transition for her brand. And she wanted that brand featured in it.
That's a good call.
And I don't think she thinks of Sophia. Like, that's the sick part of it is like for someone who, had like I don't know, I would say like the wisdom to go after her IP at such a young age. I don't think that she even associates Unwell with Sophia anymore. I don't think she has any qualms about it. And when she looks at those pictures, she's not thinking like, oh, I'm tied to Sophia Franklin. Like, I think she's thinking like, look at what I've built, you know?
That's interesting. I wonder how much convincing she had to do to get herself to that place. Like, what did she tell herself sometimes? Because I've watched Sophia's work extensively, and I don't know. It sits really unwell with me, girl to girl, how that all went down. I don't like it.
I know. I feel that way about like Grace and Brianna too at Barstool. Like there's something I feel just like it makes me feel sad. And I also have been a girl in my 20s who is like sort of navigating the difficulties of work and friendship and it not always ending well. I just yeah, I feel like, Alex and Sophia splitting was, I think, detrimental to both of them in a lot of ways. They had a good thing going on. I actually kind of grew to like admire what they were doing in early Call Her Daddy because the first time I listened to it, I was like, what the, like, who the fuck is listening to this? And the more I started to listen to it, the more I realized that they were sort of serving like, I had like sort of started to be like, are they low key virgins? Cause like some of the stuff that they're talking about is I'm like, that's just a regular blowjob. Or like
Yeah.
that's just like sex, like or whatever. That's just being manipulative. Like, why are they talking about it like they've invented this? They're cavemen who have discovered fire or something. And so when I realized sort of like the whole thing, it does fit into this thing that Barstool does very well, which is like creating a thing out of something very regular. Like the way that I was telling you that I feel like Barstool cuts their like employee videos, like they cut them like wrestling promos where it's like there's all of this energy. And if like you're just a casual fan who hasn't figured out that a lot of it is sort of this like acting, like a lot of these times when there's two types of confrontations that Dave does. There's one that's very sincere, and then there's one that is like, I'm just gonna bust your balls. And people get very uptight about that. Like, what is the, like what kind of work environment is this? And it's like that is the job there. Like,
Yeah.
that's the job there is like you're gonna get yelled at, you're gonna get publicly humiliated, and that's part of the check, and, like, you're in on it, so it doesn't, like, hurt as if it's real. Like, it's your boss creating content with you.
Yeah, and yeah, I remember him getting really upset, like, I don't know, putting on the front, like, he was upset on the BFFs pod about something that Zach and Brian or Brianna had done, and I remember just being like, "She's so chill with it, you know that this was all manufactured." Like, they're all about making something out of a nothing burger all the time, and even this weekend, I thought that was so funny though, like, just karma, like we were talking about, Dave Portnoy having his own podcast flub an interview with Tom Brady, the first interview since St. Bart's. I thought that was so funny.
Okay, so, like, I don't think that, like, we've really fleshed out the Dave Portnoy. I know we're here to like, focus on sort of the Tom Brady of it all, but, like, really quick, so, like, we kinda pieced together that it's probably Dave Portnoy because there were a lot of people in your comments saying that, but you and I had really, like, tuned into the same tweet from Dave where he was like, "I just don't know how Tom Brady, like, goes out to clubs like that," and it's like, well,
50.
Dave, there's a lot of major physical differences between you and Tom Brady. And like, also, like, I don't think that he's someone who's out that often. He doesn't seem like a particularly social person. Like, everyone can get it up for like one crazy night on vacation. I. Like I told you about the Business Insider article, sort of talking about how he really is rough with sex. Alix mentioning in that later on in that Jake Shane interview that she and that three-syllable guy, hadn't gone any further than kissing because she was scared, and I was like, "I would be scared too, are you kidding me?" Like,
Dude, yeah,
I was asking Erica, so I'm like, "How does someone even get into that shit that he's into?"
yeah,
It's beyond just, like, BDSM, it's, like, really to me, I don't know, maybe I know I'm vanilla, but, like, I'm like, that's like porn addiction, right? Like, that's how the only way someone gets into that type of stuff. But yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and Dave, being mad at the Spitting Chicklets guys for not asking Tom about Alix Earle, and it's like he was like, "Are we not journalists or
Journalist,
something?" And it's
yeah.
like, "No,
No.
Dave, they're former NFL players with CTE who just, like, have a podcast, like,
Yeah,
what?" Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I am very interested in the Dave Portnoy of it all because I would have thought that this would be his cue to shut the fuck up. Like, don't start dragging yourself. Like, why would you start getting in the middle of this narrative? Because he's the same. Also, just a side note, he's the same guy who said, how does Tom have the stamina? I'm barely able to stay awake for this football game." And then I think in the same weekend, he said he's not going to go on Ozempic because he's not trying to get laid anymore and he just doesn't need it. So I'm like, you're the most narcissistic, I don't know, strange character ever. Like, you feel so safe to say something about Alix Earle and know that you have history with her that, could be pulled up. And again, I think what's crazy about that therapist interview, I can't believe that's the name of that podcast.
I cannot believe it either.
It's insane because I was trying to have a straight face and record my TikTok, and they're saying terms that are all like prescribed. They're when they give advice, they call it prescribing, and I was like, "I can't do it." It's just, anyway, but, yeah, I think it's just interesting to me that he feels so safe, and yet, like, she's out here saying, I mean, I thought that was just crazy that it made it through the final edit that Jake Shane put out, that she's even you can basically tell that she says Portnoy, and I think that's wild because and I wonder, like, this is another case of people putting influencers in a journalistic spot, and it sometimes works out well and sometimes it doesn't because, like we talked about, Jake did not understand the context clearly of the Business Insider of it all.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, he's able to, because she felt so comfortable, I think, around him, she was able to say that and it made it through the final edit. And I think that's another element of this whole internet thing that is interesting to me, that back in the day, I just don't feel like that would have happened. I don't know.
Yeah, I know I've been seeing, Jake get a little bit of pushback lately for being a little, like, clueless in his interviews. I forget exactly what it was, but he was, like, basically making, like, Hillary Duff explain a very basic part of her career that, like, you probably could have figured out on Wikipedia or something, and while I am not the world's biggest researcher when, like, Maddie, I wasn't gonna, like, go through the internet and, like, troll and find out everything I could about you before I spoke to you today because, like, I just feel
Yeah.
like that kind of can hinder the an organic conversation, and it is nice sometimes for things to come up organically, but it's, like, a little bizarre to watch, like, Hillary Duff explain to, like, a 25-year-old, like, the chaos of her life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay, so where were we before we talked about the Dave Portnoy of it all?
Okay, as far as Alix Earle herself, I think we were talking about kind of where she was at when she met Braxton, some of the maybe like the moving out tea, if there was any, if that's just a nothing burger, but we haven't really gotten to like St. Bart's itself.
Okay. So like just to like this is like this weekend in St. Bart's was or this past weekend over New Year's was like wild. I know that Leonardo DiCaprio, it was like joked around at the Critics' Choice Awards that he almost wasn't able to get back to the States because he was on a yacht with Jeff Bezos in St. Bart's and stuck there. And like, that's all very funny because Leonardo DiCaprio used to be this like, I mean, I think he still does play the role of being an environmentalist, but like not in the same way. Like you can't really be about these causes. And but at the same time, he was one of the first people I knew of that was taking Uber Green. I remember getting in an Uber Green once here in LA, and someone was like, "Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio takes these." And I was like, "You're fucking kidding, right?" And they were like, "No, like he's I mean, they might have been pulling my leg, but also people like do tend to tell me things that maybe they shouldn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, St. Bart's was, like, a big shit show for sort of, like, celebrities, nepo babies, business people. I know Bethany had mentioned being there, uh, and yeah,
Yeah.
she got invited to I saw the video where she said that she was invited to go somewhere and she didn't really know those people, but she thought that maybe that would be, like, a cool surprising vibe, which I
Mhm.
cannot relate to at all, and I saw the videos of her with Kelly Teller, who I think needs to be stopped, and Like, I do always like that Alix has sort of, like, one friend around who's, like her life would
Nor
be totally normal if, like, she didn't happen to be friends like, who's her friend, Sally, or, like, that girl that she brought on the trip? I'm like, that must be so strange to have just, like, met Alix Earle freshman year, and now you're launched into this next level of society.
Yeah, being on a yacht with billionaires, that would be a little bit wild, I think, and also she brought her friend to, Braxton's house, not that it really matters, but I just all of it, like, being at normal like, does she sign an NDA? I just kept wondering, like, I don't know. That would be strange. I think it would be strange as another woman too, like, it would be hard not to feel insecure about getting down in your bikini around Kelly Teller, all these people who are so, like, physically fit. She must have really good confidence, which I love that for her because that would scare me for sure.
Well, I think, like, Alix Earle has nothing to worry about in that department. Like, I think that she's, like, completely shredded from Dancing with the Stars right now, but even before that, she was always a skinny blonde, with, like,
Well, yeah, her friend though, like, what like, if you were a normie, like, that would be crazy. I just think that would be wild, you know what I mean?
I, like, could never. I would be like, "Sorry,"
Yeah, I'd be in long
like,
sleeves. I'd be like, "No, I'm good. I think I'm gonna sit, inside actually."
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I thought it was interesting. She did say that she knew most of the people on this trip. I know she went to St. Bart's for the first time last year with Braxton for the same, I think, New Year's Eve style trip. But he couldn't make it, it seems like, with his schedule. And a bunch of those people were connections she made through Braxton.
Okay.
So,
And that's another thing, it's like maturity-wise, I think that that's kind of normal in that sort of echelon of society. Like, that's the other thing we have to remember that these aren't just, like in any other way are they just people, like, it's the big reason why, like, Hollywood dates around in the same circles or why, like, yeah, let's just stick to Hollywood. Like, when you're in that class of society, like, who else are you supposed to be dating? Like, who
yeah.
else are you gonna hang out with besides people who have this unique level of access and an understanding about sort of discretion and like they're just playing in a different ball game when it comes to money and stuff like that. So like you're just going to kind of be around the same people as long as you are like of that same status, you know?
Yeah, and I think time around each other, it creates a perception of trust. Whether that trust is super based, I think it wouldn't even surprise me if Braxton and Alex got back together because they're so tied in with so many of these investments, like Palm Tree Crew through that New Year's Eve party. Tom's been to those parties before, like Palm Tree Crew that are kind of a younger crowd, and I think Alex is probably invested in Palm Tree Crew as well because they're both friends with Miles Shear that was on that yacht.
What is Palm Tree Crew?
It's like they have a festival. I think it's just a younger brand. Like, I don't know exactly what they purport, but it seems like they were able to successfully run something similar to, like, Fire Festival,
But like good.
but, like, actually good. Like, let me see what they even do. They're a global lifestyle ecosystem of unique live events and special hospitality experiences.
Hell yeah.
So, I think they sell merch and stuff. I think that they have, like, a beachy Miami vibe.
I saw that she just bought into Gorgie too,
Mhm.
which is I had the Jaclyn Hill flavor and it was pretty good.
Orgy is good.
Yeah, I it, am like trying to say yes to energy drinks. Also no, but yes. But yeah, like she's made some really solid investments so far.
Yes.
I'm kind of surprised at the high low of the brand deals she'll take. Teen felt really, I don't know, like, yes, it feels organic and yes, it's an affordable product, which is good for her audience. It shouldn't all be higher end stuff. Like, I know she was pushing like those Dior lip oils for a little bit, but like that's like a $60 lipstick, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like, but like, and I think because of her party persona, she can get away with like pushing naked Doritos or whatever the hell she was selling to.
Uh-huh.
But like, I am interested in sort of the highs and lows. of how she gets her money, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And she talked about that in the Forbes interview. She said that most of her money comes from brand deals. So I know that that's where the majority of it is. And the guy asked her, "Is there any goofy offers that you've gotten?" And she said the biggest offer she'd gotten, he was able to ask her and kind of massage into what that was. And she said it was like a headband or head thing that you would put on that would cure headaches. And she said that it was the most amount of money she'd been offered, but she said it sounded like it just wouldn't work. And she said no. So I know she's thinking ahead, but she also said, "I'm trying to get to the place where I can have my own product," and she did talk about maybe an energy drink at that point, but knowing how expensive creating a product even is in this economy, I totally like that she went for Gorgie. That was a perfect because that's a kinda clean energy drink as much as you can have a clean energy drink, and as big as Red Bull is amongst my age group, you are kinda looking for something in that wellness space, and not to segue too far, but, like, around August, she started pushing those Noble tennis shoes that Tom Brady's the 2nd largest investor in, which is kind of all these things start to kind of connect in my brain, you know?
Yeah. So, real quick, Michelle said the Super Bowl commercial last year. I think it was for Poppy, right? And I think Jake Shane was in that too. And at a certain point, I'm like, how much money is she making for that versus like how much is the exposure worth a lot? And I would think that the exposure is worth a lot. Like I remember when Charlie D'Amelio, I think, was in like a Cheez It ad or something. And like, I don't think the paycheck is small, but I think that like that exposure and that resume piece is like really nice. But okay, so do you think that, I don't think that like Tom stuck it in. Like, I don't think it was like it went anywhere like that. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like he was aware of her brand and like her impact and especially like her adjacency to the world of sports and that if they were like cordial and I'll just say this is that I am a big back rubber myself. Like if you come around me after a few drinks, if I feel affectionate about you in the most non-sexual way, in a borderline maternal way, you'll catch me rubbing someone's back like that.
Mhm.
What did you So do you think that like that's gonna go anywhere or what? I mean, I think he needs a distraction. I just don't think it should be a public relationship. But like, did you see that he posted a selfie, I think, with like the Logic suicide hotline song? That's like so
Yeah.
weird.
It is weird. He's weird. He's weird. Like, honestly, he's weird. I watched the video of him kissing his son again, and I just was like, I don't even like, it was just it's weird. This guy is just weird to me. That's why I, like, saw this happen and thought, "There's just no way in hell that this is Alix Earle's rebound, really?" Like, and people were saying in my comments, it seemed almost like it was more of a business meeting than flirting necessarily, and, like, you have to remember, they were all drinking, they were probably on drugs, like, she was probably a little wobbly, that might even be why he was holding her hands, like, that seemed weird to me too, but I know that they've had to have met each other, I think, because 'cause they've been at multiple Michael Rubin parties, like, I think I counted, like, 4, and then that Fanatics thing I was talking about, they were both the speakers at that event, he was there Saturday, she was there Sunday. I have no doubt that they have like, Braxton played as a rookie on the Patriots in 2018. He was trained.
No way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he was trained by Bill Belichick, and people were saying in my comments, trained. Like, okay, I'm not a football geek, okay, so just bear with me. But he was mentored by Tom Brady and Bill Belichick during that time, during that season. And I don't know if he got a Super Bowl ring or not, but he was definitely part of the team as a rookie. So they know each other. I'm sure that at a Michael Rubin party, Tom would have at least said hi to Braxton, and then naturally she would have been there, and he would have said, "This is my girlfriend Alex," you know? And
And I think also with her family's connections and wealth as well, I wouldn't be surprised if they had sort of like run in those circles as well, like the Robert Kraft of it all and like the Belichick of it all. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if these people were like a little bit more accessible to like, there's a lot of action in the chat. Reminder that I guess, so Alex's commercial was for Carl's Jr. And that's a very iconic commercial. That's
it
like the
is.
Paris Hilton gig. So she probably definitely got like a million or so for doing that.
Yeah.
And then people are talking about Tom just sort of saying that he's a dorky creep, zero personality, robot for the NFL, has to be so boring. Like, that's the other thing. I don't think that he is I mean, like, even if you're boring, and I think that that's kind of what deduced from, like, what Kim K was saying about him, where she's like, "Oh, no." Like, if you're boring for Kim K, like, that should be a wake-up call.
Also, Brooke Snyder, like, I think Brooke Snyder is one of the most interesting women on the planet right now to me in the, like, celebrity sphere. I find her to be fascinating. She's only 28, I don't know if you know that. I thought
Who
that
the
was
hell is
weird.
Brooks Nader?
She was just on Dancing with the Stars. She also dated or had, like, a fling with Tom Brady after one of these Michael Rubin parties. Like, I think it was 23 was Kim K, and then, like, 24, Brooke Snyder was kinda his fling of the summer.
Okay.
But she will just because she's 28, so she's like Andy Cohen just asked her about Tom Brady, totally apart from this before this even happened in the last month. He asked her on Watch What Happens Live, and she said something about, like, he's a sportscaster, like, he's boring, you know what I mean? Like, he's boring, and so I thought when I saw everything in St. Bart's, I thought Alex either was like, "Okay, so this is like, St. Bart's sounds boring as fuck, it sounds like a really good way to blow a bunch of money." Bethany Frankel dogs on it all the time. I don't even really like her that much, but she always talks shit about St. Bart's and how it's ridiculous. I don't think like, I
That's
feel
where
like
Scary
she's either
Island happened.
yeah. She's either, like, bored at this party and sees Tom Brady and is like, "Okay, this is someone that I know that knows football and I can talk to, and maybe there's a business connection." I definitely don't think that this is gonna like, I just don't see it going somewhere. I think Alex, if she's gonna have a rebound, it's gonna be either, behind closed doors, or it's gonna be someone a lot more interesting as a person. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, Michelle in the chat said this best, and I think this is true. I don't think that Braxton has the level of celebrity that Alex wants, and I think that that's right. I don't think that
Yeah.
Alex is going to date a like A-list actor. I just don't see that for her. But who knows? I mean, like Kylie Jenner is dating Timothy Chalamet, his partner of 3 years. But like I like with Kylie and Timmy seem like kind of harmonious to me because like when you think about like the reality of who he is and not just like his image when he first launched, like he is a you know, like he's like a dorky white guy who wants to be black, who has for like the majority of his young adult life, like Kylie Jenner was like the baddest bitch alive.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Timothy probably like, being like, oh my God, like if I knew that I was going to be with Kylie back when she was in her King Kylie era, I would have played this totally different or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
this is like kind of peak for him. And I do have a soft spot for Kylie. I think that she's actually probably very sweet. But don't let me
Yeah.
interrupt you.
No, I mean, I agree. I think Timmy is the biggest geek. Like, have you seen the videos in high school where he's rapping? Like, he's
Yeah.
funny. Like, he's smart. He's funny. He speaks French. I think that he like plays these bad characters in movies, but he's definitely a nerd. And Kylie might have had like she was really really cool. I agree, and she still is cool. Like, I think Kylie is one of the most beautiful and interesting women on the planet. But she also has children, so I think it's a perfect amount of, like, celebrity to drama. They both seem to wanna stay out of the public eye. I think that was it like, that seems like a great pairing to me, but it just something, that's what was so funny about this Alix Earle, Tom Brady thing. It's like, "Alex, what are you doing?" Like, he's boring. He's like on an intellectual level, Braxton and Alex, I think that was where the attraction was really like, "Oh my gosh, like, you can teach me about this, I can teach you about this. Let's make this a kingdom." You know what and up until last year, she was telling Bethany Frankel, like, "I want to marry him, but also not really, like, I kinda wanna just stay long term with Braxton." So, I think she did intend on having, like, a longer term thing with him, and maybe since then, things have happened that have made her say, "Maybe I don't wanna be committed to you," or be committed in general, like, I
Well,
don't
I
know.
think like, I'll just speak for myself as like, um things that were good enough when you did not have as much access. All of a sudden, like, you're like, "I wanna play my cards and see what's out there." And I think that that is, like, you're not so worried about, like, this guy that, like, I mean, truthfully, like, one of the first time Eric and I, we were just kinda seeing each other, but I was like, "I wonder if I can, like, get someone who's a little bit more connected or famous." And like when you're young, like you think that way. And then here I am all these years later. I'm like, no, I got it right the first time. We should have made that work. And so, yeah, but I think she might be at that sort of crossroads in her life. I do also want to point out that the reason why he might have been holding her up is one of the things I learned from going through her videos today is that she did not have time to get her dress hemmed for New Year's Eve, and she was wearing like 8-inch heels. And so she might have been having trouble like balancing because I think everyone else was sort of like, I think they were maybe in like a beach environment and God bless her, but like in like, shout out to her core strength because
No kidding.
standing in the sand in 8-inch heels and a long dress is like Olympic level shit.
And I really think that back touch almost felt like you said, kind of maternal. I wondered when I saw that if it had to do with balance a little bit too. Like all these things either sound like she was bopping around in the sand with these big shoes on, which you could not pay me to be in 8-inch heels.
No.
But like especially in the sand, that's a nightmare. But I
I
do
also
wonder,
think,
like,
like,
yeah,
she probably felt bad for him a little bit. Like, he's standing there, like, I don't think she knew his flashlight was on in his pocket, but, like, he's a little old for the environment. He doesn't seem like someone who really gets out a lot. Like, one of the biggest reasons I'm strong in my convictions that, like, Tom is not a particularly exciting person socially is I just remember when he won the Super Bowl in Tampa for the first time and, like, seeing Tom Brady fucking hammered like that was I was like, "This is out of control." Like, I've never seen anything like this, like, from him at all. Like, I don't think I'd ever even seen him drunk, and I know he lives, like, a very regimented life, and that's probably why, but, like, he's just not someone that you see out. So in some ways, I wouldn't be surprised if she sort of was, like, maybe aware that this wasn't his vibe and trying to be like, talking to him because of that and, like, talking to
yeah.
him because, like, like, rubbing him on the back, like, "You're doing great, bud." Like, "Let's keep watching Diplo play," or whatever.
This is a long night for you, like, how are you holding up? Yeah, I do think so, and I mean, if they already had met, which we can assume that they had if Braxton knows him and they've been in the same parties, like, if they'd already met, she's already done an ad for his shoe company, like, I don't have any doubt that there's not an element of strategy going through her head at all times because I think she's genius like that, but, yeah, it just didn't click for me, like, people kind of reading into it being like, "She's the new fling." I just don't see that happening. She did say previous to this trip in some of her videos in the last couple weeks that she's gonna be signing up for a project around this time period that she can't talk about, and she's gonna have to be
Yeah.
off her phone for a few days. I question, of course, whether that has to do with filming a Super Bowl ad because we are, like, 4 weeks out from the Super Bowl. I
I was
think
wondering the same thing.
it would be like I said in my TikTok, like, it would be fucking iconic. I hope that they do release a Super Bowl ad, even if it's not on the television. I hope that they have a bunch of influencer ads with Alex and play into this, kinda like how that company did with Gwyneth Paltrow after the cheating scandal with Coldplay. Like, I love that style of
Mhm.
marketing. That makes me want to buy something from you so much more if you make it fun for me to enjoy watching.
It was the move. I was surprised I mean, I guess I wasn't surprised because I think I would feel very upset if I was that woman as well. But when she came out and was like, I was so hurt that Gwyneth Paltrow, especially that after all that shit she caught for the conscious uncoupling thing. And I was like, I think I have a pretty good memory about that stuff, but I remember being like, I just don't think that I think conscious uncoupling was, like, definitely a meme, but I don't think that, like, it was that bad, and then today on Twitter, I saw a clip of Gwyneth on the conscious uncoupling thing because people found that so unlikable.
Interesting. Did you see Amy Poehler just accidentally thought she was, Nicole Kidman on her podcast?
Mm.
She asked her about a movie she was in, and it was not her movie, and she's like, "Are you referring to, Nicole Kidman's movie?" And Amy, like, she handled it like a G, but you could tell she was so embarrassed. She was like, "I'm gonna be thinking about this for the rest of my life." Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. That's so
Well,
embarrassing.
in all fairness, like, isn't Gwyneth usually one of the first to forget what movies she was in?
Yeah, or which coworkers that she has worked with, like, she is such a character to me. She is just not, like yeah, she's funny, but I think that it's insane, honestly, a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie, when I read that the Coldplay lady was, like, hurt that Gwyneth Paltrow jumped on that, she says in the article her husband was in the audience, which I don't even think came out till that
I
article
know.
came out.
And so
That's
was my
crazy.
friend Lisa. But
Cool, insider scoop.
yeah, but, like, it's so true. Everyone of a certain demographic is absolutely gonna be at fucking Coldplay. And, like,
Like,
it's
Tom
still
Brady
to
would be
this
there.
it's the way that they failed to play it off that I'm just like, "Oh my god, you guys, like, if you're gonna be having an affair, like, fucking act like you know." But are we do we I've kept you here a little bit longer than I threatened to. So, do we have any other notes that you wanna hit before I, like, or are you good for right now? Like, if I keep you
I'm
for another,
good.
like, 15? Okay, cool.
Yeah, let's do it.
So tell me what else you got.
Okay, so today, I mean, really today, I only had time to go back into the Fanatics interview and the interview with Forbes. But I do think, I guess to just sum it up, like, I think that there's a lot of maturity between Braxton and Alex. I could even see them getting back together, like I said. I do think that strategically they align and they both have a business degree and they will probably always have a soft spot for each other. She said in a bunch of videos in the last week or so, this is the hardest breakup because it's so amicable. Now, she could be bullshitting us, but she's in his house. Like, I don't think that there's got to be a level of amicable here. So I think that that's great. There is a bunch of people like that have screenshotted and sent to me that Braxton liked Tom Brady's post on Sunday after all this went down. So he seems like he's chill. Like, I just think I wouldn't even be surprised if this turns into a Noble Super Bowl ad or some kind of branding opportunity if Braxton would even have a hand in it because that seems like the kind of play that those two make. Like, some for
Yeah.
you, some for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, while by the way, people are fucking out of control in Alix Earle's comments. Like the things that they write, like assuming that, like, I don't know, like just like assuming that she doesn't have access to her own fucking phone is like it makes me feel crazy the way that they also, guys, it's rude to ask someone if like they and their partner broke up. It's rude. It's like can be hurtful. Like I will never forget getting an email once on a podcast and like it was this whole letter that was like very straightforward and like someone doing the normal format of the show, which was like asking me a question about their personal life and how I would handle it or what I think they should do. And at the end of it, it was like, and I remember reading it out loud and it was like, P.S. Did you and blank break up? And I was like, I literally burst into tears. I was like, I was like not prepared for that. But like people don't always know, like, that's not really like something that you ask. Like, I don't think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that like this was an overall regardless of what his feelings might be now or whether or not they're cool or like I think they are cool. I think you're right. Like they'll probably be in the same circles for a long time and I think they have a very sweet spot for each other. And if they aren't the type to get back together, I would not be surprised if it was a situation where, in 10 years, 15 years, when they're both married and doing their own thing, I could see their families being friends.
Yeah.
This was such a net positive for Braxton. Like, he's not going to have a hard time finding girls just because he is like an attractive NFL player. But also, like, the Alix Earle stamp of approval, like there is nothing like a bitch minting a guy to like really set off his next chapter of his journey.
Yeah.
It's that's like a pretty big endorsement. Speaking of endorsements, like
Yeah.
that's that's good for Braxton. Like,
Yeah.
he won.
No,
And,
he
like,
definitely did.
he might have, like, a more, I would say, like, official job. People tend to think of, like, influencing as not really being, like, an official job, but I would say that, as far as, like, NFL players go, it's not like I've ever heard of his name in conjunction with him actually, like, playing his sport. I've only heard of him, and I'm aware of a lot of football news because I'm in the algorithm with, like, not just the Kelsey brothers, but, my boyfriend's a huge football person, and so that stuff comes up a lot, not just in my news, but in conversation. I've never heard anyone mention Braxton as, like, some great player or someone who really came in clutch or, like, having a viral moment or being mic'd up on the field and having, like, I don't know anything about him
Yeah.
in that regard, you know?
Yeah, he's an interesting character. I did wanna before we leave, though, I do wanna say, did you see the clip of Alex's dad making a joke to her stepmom about Tom Brady?
No.
Okay, that's something I wanna hit on before because that is something that came up again today, and I was like, "This is fucking weird." So, her stepmom is getting ready, and she's wearing, like, a blazer that's too large and oversized, and she asks Alex's dad, "What do you think about this with the belt?" Because she's got this big belt around it, and he's like, I don't really like when you hide your body under, like, these big blazers," and then he made some joke about, like, "I actually bought that blazer because Tom Brady wore it." And she was kinda like, "Oh my god, stop." But you know that if there was something going on between his daughter and Tom Brady for real, I don't think it would've made it into like, her family's messy and her family's weird, like, the
They
all of
are.
that is weird. It's weird, okay? And there's even a screenshot her stepmom gets her in trouble a lot because she had posted a TikTok talking about, like, I think wishing Alex a happy birthday or something like that, and there's a screenshot from her brother to Alex saying, "Break up with Braxton" in all caps twice, and people screenshotted it, and they were just like, "What the fuck was that?" Like, there's a little bit of family enmeshment, family strangeness, like you said, reality show vibes.
Yeah, it
Very
is
weird.
interesting. I think that when you have that many kids and, like, you are, you do have to sort of, like, it's interesting to me how the step mom and her biological mom are all, like, in the mix and, like, they're all really good friends. And part of me is, like, maybe a little bit envious of that because it's just me and my mom. So it's like I don't really have that, like, full like that, like, I think you just kinda get used to it when, like,
Yeah,
that is the environment you're in, and she seems to have a really good relationship with all of her siblings. Where was that video posted? Like, was that on her
TikTok.
stepmom's, TikTok? So
Yep.
I didn't know that they were, like, active on
Oh,
TikTok too,
yeah.
but that makes sense if, Meredith
Yep.
Meredith is getting bullied by
Her
Alix
friend.
Earle's, yeah, stepmom's friends.
Yeah. Well, and, like, the whole circumstance of the way that her dad got with her stepmom and the cheating scandal stuff, all that stuff was a huge conversation when her and Braxton started dating because of the Sophia Culpo of it all, and Sophia and Alex were able to come to some kind of agreement to say, like, "We're chill, everything's fine," but Sophia's made nods, like, since then, that's kind of like I feel like I was a little bit gypped in that way. So, I just think Alex is protecting a brand here for sure, and so is her dad. It's the family aspect, the stepmom being active, all those things are so strange, and I know people have come at me this week for being parasocial, which I don't even know how quite to, like, even define parasocial versus
Well, I don't think you're being parasocial. I think that you noticed something and you're noticing connections, and I don't see you like, I mean, oh my God, if you were like crying, you know what I mean? If you were
Yeah,
like, I'm so worried about Braxton, or like,
yeah. No,
you know,
yeah,
I think I saw someone call you parasocial, and I'm like, well, no, it's not parasocial if you're just, like, talking about people that, like, live their life in public and wondering what's going on behind the scenes,
yeah.
or, like, like, you're not bullying anyone. I think
No,
parasocial, like, that word really, like, rose to fame, miss like John Mulaney, like it not being clear what was going on with his marriage and Olivia Munn and blah, blah, blah. That is like when I think parasocial really got pushed into the zeitgeist. That involved so many people like really turning their back on John Mulaney without like having a full understanding of it effectively. He was kind of mini canceled or deemed unlikable. Olivia Munn, I think, is always being held up to the fire. I will say that like anytime someone gets too much shit publicly, like I'm just gonna want to protect them. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no way that, I know she wrote like a tacky book. I'm like, but people sometimes lack the historical reference to like understand that like
Yeah.
that was a type of person that you could be back then and that was marketable.
Yeah.
So, and that was so crazy because like people were in his ex-wife's womb, so like
Right.
that's different than I think like and it's touchy because of rehab and stuff like that. That's different than you like tracking, okay, these are these brand deals and these sponsorships, and this is what we know about this relationship. And this is what we know about the Tom Brady and the St. Barts of it all. I don't think that's parasocial. I think that that's just making connections and putting things together. As someone who started out in the gossip world, like that is at the heart of the business. Like I remember I was the one who figured out that the reason why Mary Kate Olsen hates Spencer Pratt is because he sold pictures of her partying to
Mhm.
a magazine, to a tabloid. And I remember, I wasn't the one who wrote the story, but I remember making those connections and like giving that to my boss. I was more on the video end there, but
Yeah.
like that's just called being a lover of the culture and in it for the game?
Yeah, I felt really like I said, I did feel a little physically ill that it was tipped off to me that she was standing in Braxton's house. That's where it starts to get a little iffy, but I thought, I will post this screenshot, but I will not post his address. Like, I don't wanna be a part of that. I don't wanna be a part of, like, posting things that were in snark pages. I don't wanna be doing things like that. That's where I draw the line for sure. I mean, I feel maybe an element of parasocialism toward Taylor Swift because I've grown up watching Taylor Swift, and when I watch the Eras Tour, it does make me cry a little bit every time, but it's like tears
Yeah.
of joy, you know? I'm not I'm not like
Yeah.
a diehard Alix Earle fan, but I respect the game, like, and seeing what she's able to do and how she's able to make this all happen, and, here I am, like, listening to this Forbes interview she did today, and I'm taking notes myself, like, she's talking about niching down, relatability, not making perfection, the enemy of good, like all these things that actually are great advice. And she's even got a scholarship with the University of Miami where she went to school. Like, I like Alix Earle. If she was just making a business play, who care? Like, honestly, I care about ethics and stuff, but really, like, Braxton's okay, obviously.
He's
So,
fine.
like, he's fine. He's fine. But I would like someone said, "I love her with business," and I'm like, "I love her with business too, girl." Like, make that money. That's a win for her is a win for me. You know what I
And,
mean?
like, there's other things that, like, we would easily not know that, like, I can see why if you take everything at face value, if you're, like, a person watching at home, and I don't know if this is, like, bordering on parasocial, but, like, there could have been instances in their relationship where maybe they had a close call to a breakup before, or maybe one of them had cheated on the other, and, like, we would just never know that because you don't really advertise that when you're a public figure. Maybe some people do, but not really. And so I think that like their writing could have been on the wall for him for a while. I'm not so worried about Broxton, but yeah, this is like so interesting and I just wanted to have you on because I told you I'm a fan of what you're doing. Like I feel like a lot of people project and I think a lot of people like go off of vibes and like, there's definitely a lot of creators that will put in the work. I don't know if you've seen like what Becca Day has been doing with
No.
Epstein for like years, where I'm like, this is some high level shit that you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be hired by someone to be doing this. Like, I mean, I think she's probably can do it independently and that's maybe better for her. But I'm like, this is like, I don't think like your average person like, I'm like, politicians should be tuning in to, like, what she's
Yeah.
doing over there. So I really appreciate seeing, like, people who are younger who are willing to, like, dig in and do the research, especially in a world where people, form entire opinions based off of clickbait headlines. And
Yeah.
I'm always gonna be here to support you. So, like, if you are I'm gonna stay tuned into your page and whatever it is you're doing next. But if you ever have a situation or a thing where it's like you just wanna come talk it out with me, please let me know. And I know this has, like, been a very active chat, and it seems like a lot of people have enjoyed this. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for having me.
You can find Maddie at Maddy Agers, MADDYAGERS on TikTok, and then Agers Maddie on Instagram,
Instagram.
right? Do you have a
Uh,
Twitter or anything?
I don't think I maybe under Maddy Agers. I got booted off of Twitter when X took over, so I lost my whole account. I really need to like brand myself. This all started because I was being creatively burnt out at work, so I started posting on TikTok. And my first videos, I didn't start even posting till July of last year of 25. So this is all like a super fun thing. I'm glad I had some maturity through my college years before I hit
Yes.
the point where I was talking on TikTok. But yes, this is all
Yeah,
because
you're
it's
like,
like
you've almost got your whole frontal lobe.
yeah, like I'm really close. Like I feel I can feel it developing. Like you know what I mean. It's been a really good year in that way. Like I could feel something click, and I was like, okay, now we can make investments. Now I can save money a little bit without spending it all. Like things are good. So yeah, like this is all really fun for me. I really believe in like contextualizing and giving fact, and that's why I put so many overlays and screenshots in my stuff because I'm tired of the clickbaity headlines. The whole AI conversation is really interesting to me as a young person because, I'm afraid of the critical thinking loss that's happening in America. So I'm really like, let's go read a book and maybe like cite our sources, you know? So
Yeah. Oh
I
my
really
god. The
like,
overlay is like people need to be, if you want to be taken seriously, do a fucking overlay. Like,
no, and
get like
in the comments, yeah, people are like saying shit in my comments. I'm like, okay, send me a screenshot. Like not to get all Candace Owens up in here, but send me a screenshot. Like I don't want to like, just play around with this game of like let's just go viral to go viral. Like some of my most viral videos, one was like breaking down the history of Lennox spice villages, and last week I went viral because I talked about what does it was Alabama Barker saying like the Poochie thing that went viral, and I was like,
yeah.
"Let's talk about what Poochie is as a brand," because a bunch of people didn't know. So,
Yeah.
I get flamed in the comments for sure, and it's either like, "You're a big loser," or "You don't know enough," and I was homeschooled, so I will own that, but it's just
Ooh,
like
okay.
yeah. So for at least for kindergarten, 1st grade, and then 8th grade through high school. So I definitely like when you were talking about college experience, my college experience was working and being the editor of a school paper, and I was lame as fuck. I was a commuter. So I have had time to develop like this kind of research vibe, and that's just what I do for fun. So it's like this has been a joy. It's been really nice to meet you and connect with you. Being on here was so fun. Thanks to everybody for commenting, like whether it's in this chat or my DMs or my comments. I'm loving the like connection aspect of TikTok, and I'm really
Yes.
excited to like keep growing there.
Yay. Okay, well, you guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you or watching. We'll talk to you soon. If you are missed the beginning half of this, if you sign up on the Patreon, it's $5. You'll get the replay, and you also get like thousands of hours. It's like I truly say it's one of the most bang for your buck Patreons out there. So yeah. All right. Be safe. Bye, guys.